It may seem like it was just yesterday when Sony released the PlayStation 5, but in reality it's been 2 years since then. While many systems selling exclusives are yet to grace the console, the PlayStation 5 has amassed a solid library of both first-party and third-party games that are unmissable for anyone who has managed to procure this highly demanded piece of machinery, and to that end, we present 30 of the best PS5 games of all time. God of War Ragnarok. Sony Santa Monica's latest God of War is easily a more than worthy sequel to the stellar original that was released back in 2018. And that statement alone speaks volumes about the game's quality. The continuation of Kratos and Atreus' tale through the Norse realms is grand and filled to the brim with a buffet of high adrenaline moments and spectacular boss fights. The combat and exploration have been polished to an immaculate sheen, which makes God of War Ragnarok perhaps the best game to play on your shiny new console. Spider-Man Miles Morales. Insomniac Games delivered an excellent rendition of the friendly webhead with 2018's Marvel's Spider-Man, which is easily the most mechanically sound and appropriate representation of the superhero in video game form. Its follow-up, Spider-Man Miles Morales, was released shortly after in 2020, which really honed in on the first game's strengths and dialed the action up to 11. Furthermore, you get to have more opportunities in combat and traversal thanks to Miles' Venom abilities alongside a coming-of-age story, with memorable characters and plot twists. Guilty Gear Strive. Released in 2021, this latest entry in Arc System Works' premier fighting franchise has a lot to love, ranging from a diverse roster of characters to a complex web of mechanics and moves which must be mastered to take on the tougher challenges in the game, and it's all presented in a beautiful art style that's really distinct despite being simplistic. Demon's Souls. The Bluepoint-developed remake of Demon's Souls was the only true launch title for the PS5, and suffice to say, the game looks like a true representation of the console's horsepower. The dark fantasy kingdom of Boltaria is presented with a striking level of fidelity, and the mechanics and animations have all been cleaned up to round out this modern look for this classic. Of course, it still retains that classic difficulty that made the original stand out in a homogenized market, and it remains a rewarding experience to this date. Elden Ring. Easily one of the very best that 2022 has to offer, Elden Ring feels like the culmination of everything that From Software has been working towards for the last 2 decades. The Lands Between is a sprawling kingdom, ripe with secrets to find and mighty foes to fight, and you get to do so in a wide variety of ways. Thanks to the different playstyles on offer, it's a massive experience that just keeps on giving, and does so without compromising on quality, and is definitely a must-play for fans of Souls-likes or open-world games in general. Horizon Forbidden West. Much like Elden Ring before, Horizon Forbidden West lets you loose in a massive open world as you embark on a quest to save the world from extinction and corruption from the Blight. Aloy's journey through the Forbidden West is filled with interesting encounters and varied gameplay, and the story that takes you through it all is a lot better than what we experienced in Zero Dawn. All in all, it's a complete package, one that uses the PS5's graphical prowess to paint a beautiful world that's an absolute joy to explore. Astro's Playroom. Astro's Playroom comes pre-installed with the console itself, and while it's meant to be a showcase title for the console's features, it ends up being so much more than that. Despite its short runtime, the game is sure to bring back memories of the manufacturer's history and its many classics, through dozens upon dozens of secrets that are scattered throughout the levels, and even as a platformer alone, Astro's Playroom is pretty fun, with well-designed levels and deserves to have its own full game sometime later down the line. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is a souped-up package of Final Fantasy VII, one that's built keeping in mind the graphical capabilities of the PS5. Alongside radical improvements to visual quality and resolution, this expanded re-release also contains a new episode called Intergrade, all of which combines to make this version the definitive way to experience Final Fantasy VII Remake on modern console platforms. Gran Turismo 7. Polyphony's premier racing series is back with Gran Turismo 7, which is a significant improvement over the past entries in most, if not all, aspects of the experience. Sure, the game has been subject to plenty of controversy with regards to its microtransactions and stingy reward systems, but there's little argument to be had when it comes to the core gameplay, which remains as crisp and true to life as ever. Car culture fans can also spend hours upon hours gawking at every carefully recreated model, which is a perfect showcase for the raw grunt of the PS5's GPU. Returnal. Developed by Housemarque Games that has recently joined the PlayStation's first-party studio roster, Returnal puts players into the shoes of Celine, an astronaut that has been seemingly trapped in an eternal cycle of life and death on the planet of Atropos, and you must find a way to break this time loop. Returnal mixes its white-knuckle bullet hell shooter gameplay with a sci-fi story that's surprisingly personal to the protagonist, which makes Returnal one of the best roguelites on the platform. Resident Evil Village. Set against the backdrop of a Romanian village, Resident Evil Village is a direct continuation of the narrative events of Resident Evil 7. Ethan Winters' quest to save his daughter takes him through many different houses of horror, each containing memorable spooks and unforgettable bosses. It's a thrill ride through and through, and it's also a celebration of everything Resident Evil. Death Stranding Director's Cut. Death Stranding might not be everyone's cup of tea, but those who rhymed with its brand of slow and methodical gameplay would swear by it being one of the best games of the generation. Death Stranding Director's Cut makes this package even better thanks to its many additions to buddy bots, racetracks, and a brand new set of stealth missions, among others. Kojima's debut game in the Strand space is an interesting one, and it's definitely worth trying for those even remotely interested in the concept. The Last of Us Part 1. Naughty Dog knocked it out of the park with its 2013 smash hit The Last of Us, and it remains one of the best stories ever told in a video game to this date. As such, it stands to reason that a faithful remake of that game, one that's built from the ground up for the PS5, would also feature one of the best stories in gaming. And thanks to smoothed out gameplay mechanics and remade visuals, the overall experience gets elevated to another level. Sifu. Developed by Absolver Studio, Sifu is all about punching your way through hordes of enemies as you try to exact revenge on those responsible for your father's death. The combat is supremely fun and demands players to have a firm understanding of its many nuances to beat its toughest challenges. Its unique mortality mechanic is also well implemented into the gameplay, which makes Sifu one hell of a beat-em-up. Stray. Set against a futuristic cyberpunk dystopia, Blue 12's debut title, Stray, puts you in the furry paws of a cat as it embarks on a quest to reach back to its home. The gameplay involves exploring these beautiful environments and solving puzzles to progress through levels, and while the gameplay is simplistic in nature, with linear levels and simple puzzles, playing through it remains a joy right up until the end, thanks to a well-written story that tugs away at your heartstrings. A Plague Tale Requiem. Developer Asobo's A Plague Tale: Innocence was a surprise hit when it released in 2019, thanks to its excellent storytelling chops and interesting gameplay scenarios. The recently released sequel, A Plague Tale Requiem, builds upon those foundations and introduces new gameplay ideas and characters, which makes it a worthy sequel that's unmissable for fans of the first game. Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Set against the backdrop of the Mongol invasion of the Tsushima Island, Ghost of Tsushima sees players assuming the role of Jin Sakai, as he lets go of the honorary samurai code in a last-ditch effort to wipe out enemy presence from his homeland. The open world is as majestic as it is dense, with things to do and see, and the director's cut adds a brand new map in the form of Iki Island, making it the definitive version of this experience. Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Sackboy: A Big Adventure is a fun romp through beautifully created stages, each of which introduces new ideas to the table. Sure, it might not hold a candle to the athletic plumber that is Mario, but Sackboy: A Big Adventure is easily one of the best and most polished platformers available on Sony's new machine, and fans of good platforming action should definitely check it out. Kena Bridge of Spirits. Ember Labs' Kena Bridge of Spirits harkens back to the olden days of linear action-adventure games. But that comparison should really be taken as a compliment. The journey of Kena through the spirit realm is as enchanting with its narrative themes and characters as it is bombastic with spectacular boss fights, and it's all presented with striking attention to detail, which makes it look like a Pixar movie at all times. Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. After the underwhelming critical reception of Marvel's Avengers, it's safe to say that the anticipation for Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy was rather tepid. But Eidos Montreal knocked it out of the park with this story-driven adventure and delivered a game that successfully told a captivating tale of the Guardians learning to work together as a team and overcoming nigh impossible odds. Add to that sharp writing and unique gameplay, and Guardians of the Galaxy becomes a blockbuster experience that's unmissable for fans of the source material. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Starring everybody's favorite Tiny Tina as the Dungeon Master, this Borderlands spin-off is easily one of the best games in the long-running franchise. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is a smart mix of the franchise's signature gameplay and sharp humor, with Dungeons & Dragons-styled role-playing and fantasy elements, which provides a distinct sense of personality and charm to the experience. It Takes Two. It Takes Two is the spiritual successor to Hazelight Studios' excellent A Way Out, and suffice to say, the game really amps up everything that worked in the predecessor up to 11. The better story, more meaningful co-op, and fun side activities are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to It Takes Two's many improvements over its predecessors. Simply put, it's the best game to experience with a fellow gamer or a loved one. LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. While the wait leading up to LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga was a long one, the final game didn't disappoint. Easily one of the most ambitious LEGO games to date, the Skywalker Saga takes you through immaculately recreated sets of the entire 9 films in the collection. Add to that dozens of playable characters and multiple gameplay styles, and LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga becomes an amazing package through and through. Uncharted: Legacy of Thieves. Fans are still waiting with bated breath to know about the future of the Uncharted franchise, and while there's nothing substantial to share at the moment, we can all at least experience 2 of the most recent and arguably best entries in the series with Uncharted: Legacy of Thieves collection. The collection features Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, both of which have been improved with visual embellishments and high frame rate modes, making the PS5 version the best to experience these high-octane adventures. The Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes. The Dark Pictures Anthology, House of Ashes is just about what you would expect from a supermassive, developed narrative adventure title. The game features a complex web of choices and consequences that comes together to shape a unique story in every playthrough, and it's all presented with a striking level of visual fidelity. While it's perfectly playable in a solo fashion, you can also experience it with a friend through online co-op or couch co-op, which supports up to 5 players. The Quarry. Yet another supermassive game on this list. The Quarry is all about a group of 9 teenagers as they try everything and anything in their might to survive one last night at the Hackett Quarry summer camp. The visuals are top tier, and every choice leads to a different outcome, meaning the story could play out in so many different ways, which makes The Quarry a highly replayable experience that can also be enjoyed with friends while sitting on a couch. Yakuza Like a Dragon. Yakuza Like a Dragon veers away from the franchise roots with its new turn-based combat system, but remains all the better for it. The story of Ichiban Kasuga is an enchanting one that neatly mixes heartfelt moments with hilarious combat sequences and finishers, resulting in an experience unlike any other. But much like its predecessors, Like a Dragon's map is filled with interesting side activities, making sure that you never run out of things to do. Lost Judgment. The original Judgment was a successful spin-off of RGG's Yakuza series, and Lost Judgment ups the ante in so many ways. You reprise the role of Detective Takayuki Yagami as you try to uncover the mystery behind a strange suicide case, which leads you down a rabbit hole of conspiracies, plot holes, and character revelations. Of course, the game also features loads of different gameplay styles, including but not limited to hunting clues, fighting baddies, or just roaming about the open world in search of side quests to tackle. It's a packed experience, and one worth seeing through to the end. Little Nightmares 2. A follow-up to the smash hit that was Little Nightmares, Little Nightmares 2 plays very well into its strengths, with better jump scares, a consistently ominous visual style, and a dark and dreary story that's worth experiencing through to the end. While the gameplay itself is quite simplistic when compared to others on this list, that doesn't make Little Nightmares 2 any less better. Bug Snacks. Developer Young Horse's Bugsnax is a charming adventure set against the backdrop of Snacktooth Island, and you assume the role of a detective who has to uncover the many mysteries that await you on this island. You can hunt different species of Bugsnax, evolve them by feeding appropriate food, complete side quests, and a whole lot more in this zany game that's very different to your usual adventure affair. That's all for now. If you enjoy what you saw, please hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, now is a great time to subscribe. We upload brand new videos every single day. After subscribing, don't forget to enable all notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thanks for watching this video, and we'll see you next time, right here on Gaming Bolt.